How's it going? So, yesterday I put out a video talking about how to kind of get your affairs in order for the upcoming collapse. More and more does it seem like we are, as a country and a nation, at least here in the US, headed for serious economic trouble. And that generally means you need to start being a bit more deliberate with your money and your finances. The biggest thing today is get your finances in order. Stop spending money on junk. And why I think, as a strong man, to survive the upcoming collapse, not only do you need to be a minimalist, but you should be a buy once, cry once. On average, we throw out so much trash and just junk every year. Everything we have is meant to be disposable. The clothes on our backs, the cheap Harbor Freight junk tools, not so much anymore, but the cheap Chinese parts store tools that, it gets the job done, lifetime warranty. Okay, that doesn't really help you if you can't get to a parts store and the only wrench you have breaks, or the only ratchet you have breaks. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and buy Snap-on, but at least buy something decent that's not going to break, whether that be gear wrench. When you're buying gloves, make sure you're getting a decent brand that's not going to fall apart on you after 2 days of wearing them. When you're buying clothes, try not to buy the friggin' 10-pack for $3.99 of t-shirts. Honestly, t-shirts, I would just go to a Goodwill and see what they got. That gets to another thing. Go to Goodwill, see what they have for maybe something of a little bit better quality. And I don't mean name brand. I'm talking about wool. I'm talking about making sure that the stuff you're buying is just made to a decent standard. Learn how to evaluate what it is that you're buying. Maybe do a little bit of research on good brands of buy it for life items. Don't just buy that cheap store brand, plastic thermos. Just do a little bit of research. Get you a decent Stanley. A lot of the time, you go into a Goodwill or some of these thrift stores, you can get some classic built, an old classic Stanley thermos. This was $10. I found this old school 1970s Stanley for $10. Nice plastic cup. The only downside with this older one is that the cap did not have a gasket. When it was being made, they didn't put gaskets on these, so it does tend to leak. It's not that big a deal. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't set these on the side very often. It's usually it'll just drip out if I carry it like this. Just set it down on a sideboard or something. Look around for good options. If you're looking for pots and pans, try to stay away from non-stick. Non-stick is trash and it's toxic for your body. Try to get something of stainless steel or cast iron. Lodge at Walmart makes a whole bunch of pans and pots that really aren't that much money. I think you can get, the last time I was in there and looked at them, they're like $20. If you're looking for cookware of anything, I'm a big fan of stainless steel because it just lasts. I've even found one at Walmart that had a stainless steel top on it and handle. So it's really nothing that's going to ever break. There's no failure points there. They're provided I'm not just throwing around like an idiot. Now, cast iron obviously can break. You can drop it and it can crack. But it doesn't really wear out. Yeah, a lot of this stuff might be a little bit more maintenance. Like, I made a wax canvas jacket out of this Carhartt jacket. I looked at, wax canvas jackets because they're serviceable. You can reapply wax to these. When you're looking at buy it for life items, try to find things that you can fix or service or find replacement parts for. Wax canvas jackets can be re-waxed as long as you don't let them get too low on the wax and then the fabric wears out. These really don't wear out from what I can tell. I made this one. The Filson wax canvas jacket's like $500. This jacket was like $70. I wanted non-insulated so I can do my own thing with insulation. And the Lone Woodsman has a great recipe, but you don't even need to use that one. You can get your own wax or do your own thing with waxing a jacket. I'm like $130 into this with another $100 on a heat gun that I can use for other stuff. Now look around for stuff that can be serviced, can be fixed. If you're looking for appliances, try to find maybe an old appliance that you can fix. If you don't know how to fix stuff, time to learn. Just because your pants, maybe you developed a tear in them. I always seem to develop a tear right around the legs area because years of lifting, I got pretty big legs, and I tend to stretch out the legs areas on these, and they always seem to fail right on the inside of the legs. So learn to sew up your pants. When you're looking around for buy ones, cry one stuff, try not to just buy the cheapest stuff. And that does not mean name brand. Try not to waste your money. If you're going to spend money, do it deliberately. Make sure that item that you are buying is going to last you and you're going to get what you pay for out of it. Too often do people spend money on stuff and they're just buying a name. They're just buying a brand to look cool or, show off, hey, I got this brand. Like phones. Phones are absolute junk. We spend way too much on phones. How much is the new iPhone? $1,600? What a friggin' ripoff. When you're buying, whether or not you're buying tools, cookware, watches, Casio makes amazing digital watches. Especially if you really want something, buy it for life, you can step up to their G-Shocks. You're probably not breaking that. Like, Timex. Timex also makes some really good cheap stuff. That is buy it for life. What else are out there? Pelican cases. A lot of people talk about Pelican cases. Another one is Perel water bottles, I believe they're called. They're plastic water bottles. They had their start in medical. I don't really use plastic water bottles. I try to stick mostly towards stainless if I can, just because it's more durable. Well, and there's a lot of chance of me dropping it and breaking it. If you're looking for good multi-tools, they're Leatherman. You can get a Leatherman Surge, a Swiss Army knife. A lot of those brands are buy it for life. I rarely ever see people wear out a Leatherman or a Swiss Army knife. I don't really personally like Swiss Army knives. It was because they don't make bit drivers. I'm still looking for something that does what this does that's not made by Gerber. But this is the Gerber armbar, and it's just such a good bang for your buck. I usually don't buy Gerber because a lot of their stuff, I don't know. A lot of the stuff sounds good on paper, but they just kind of, they don't really execute on it very well. Just never really been a big Gerber fan. You know, buying gloves, you know, instead of buying cheap gloves that you A, don't want to wear, B, are just such shitty quality that they're going to fall apart in 2 weeks, and C, be replacing like 10 pairs a year, $20 a piece, get you an actual decent pair of leather work gloves. These are the Vermonter, made in Vermont. These gloves are amazing. I have really never really worn gloves. I've never liked gloves. I've always just thought real men work with their bare hands. And, yeah, you know, the older I get, skin cancer really doesn't appeal to me all that much. But, you know, plus, it's starting to get cold out. Gloves are kind of nice. So have you ever tried to work around sheet metal and just work around metal with no gloves in the wintertime? Yeah, it sucks. And these gloves are just amazingly built. They fit your hand well. Well, these are like $100. And I can already tell after a couple weeks of wearing them to a month. Can't remember when I bought them, but it's like a month ago. And they're like barely broken in. Amazing. You know, buy higher end work boots. Whether it be Carolinas, Chippewas, Red Wings really are kind of buy it for life. If you want something even better, you can step up to a Knicks, a Whites, JK Boots. You know, but that's kind of stepping up to like $600 to $800 for a pair of work boots. And yeah, you know, they will 100% last because they're designed to be resold. So are Chippewas and Red Wings. You know, learn to repair what you have. If you have power tools, a lot of them are designed to be serviced. Believe it or not, power tools are kind of designed to be taken apart, and especially like the impacts and the metal gearing on the drills. You're actually supposed to grease those once in a while. You know, learn how to service and take care of your basic stuff. Stop buying needless junk that's just going to fall apart on you. Buy stuff, learn how to take care of it, and it will last a very long time. That doesn't mean you need to go out and buy Snap-on tools. That doesn't mean you need to go out and buy the new latest and greatest of this or that. It means learning to buy what is going to work and keep working for a long time. You know, I believe there's a Reddit forum on buy it for life items. You might check them out. Now, Spencer's Adventures has done a lot of videos on buy it for life items. But generally speaking, you gotta learn to be more deliberate. Become a minimalist. You don't need all of these different things that you're never gonna use, never gonna touch, and you just bought it to look cool. You're wasting your money. Most of the modern technology and junk ends up in landfills, and it's just wasted money that you could spend towards putting in your savings, putting in other stuff, doing other stuff with, buying stuff that you actually could use and that's going to last you a lifetime. And a lot of the time, you don't even get the money out of it. If something breaks after only a few uses, then what does that say? What does that say about the level of quality there? Oh, but it has this brand on it. I don't give a shit. I want something that's gonna last. I don't like rebuying stuff. I hate rebuying stuff. I hate losing a tool or breaking a tool or, you know, wearing out something and then I have to rebuy it. Yeah. The amount of money that I've spent on jackets over the years, I've had like 4 Carhartt jackets because their quality is just so trash nowadays that they're just not good. They're not good anymore. Like the amount of money I've spent on jackets, I could have just stepped up bought the Filson $500 jacket, and I would have been set. I wouldn't need another jacket. You know, the amount of money I have in pants alone, I could have bought, you know, high-end Japanese denim or, you know, Filson double tin pants, like, that are a couple $100s a piece, and I would still be saving money. At the end of the day, we as men need to stop wasting our money. Consumerism is not doing us any good as strong men in today's society. You know, and I always look back at the days of the frontiersmen where every single item had to last. Every single item, you know, could not be just some cheap piece of junk that was, oh, you know, lifetime warranty though. No, if that item broke, then they died. If their knife was some cheap, you know, Walmart brand or this brand or that brand, or, you know, they would die. They would perish out there. All of their items had to be made of quality. And they would pick the item up, inspect it, know how to repair it, know how to resharpen it, know how to fix their leather gear. They knew how to sew up their gear. They carried what they needed on them to fix their gear, to fix their traps, to fix all of the things they needed to survive. And while we don't live in, you know, 1600 or 1700 frontier America, we can definitely take the lessons that they knew about gear, about everything that they had, and apply it to our lives. And it'll probably save us money in the long run. I know I would have saved money in the long run. Food for thought. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I think tomorrow I'm going to talk about what you need to get your body ready for the coming economic collapse. Have a good day, gentlemen.